I've suddenly realised I've been standing here chatting to Tony and we're due to start, so apologies for that. I'm Stella Collins from Stella Learning, and I'm here to introduce Tony and chair the session today. Probably the reason you're here is because you probably already know quite a lot about Tony Buzan. He's the author of 152 books, was nominated for a Nobel Prize back in 2011, and is the founder of, for most of us, is the founder of mind mapping. Just hands up, who already mind maps here? Okay, so we've got a good selection. So for me, mind mapping is really, really useful. I mind map regularly all the time. I do it in meetings. All my learning plans are all done as mind maps. Occasionally a client said, but you've got to write our own words as well. So I just do it for them, but it's not for me. I do shopping. We plan family holidays and trips. We stick a mind map up on the fridge, and we all just add bits and pieces as we like. I've helped people work on projects with mind maps. They are, as those of you already use them, an amazing and very useful tool. So Tony is here to, I'm hoping we might get to do some mind mapping, because we've got some paper on the table. So Tony is here to talk to us about creativity, inspiration, and mind mapping. Over to you, Tony.
Good afternoon. What did they put in your lunch? Anybody out here? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And happy New Year. Still in the first month, just. And happy full moon day. Right now, it is now the full moon, and it's the second full moon this month.
Wow.
It's the second full moon. So astronomically / astrologically, this is a supermoon. Today, this evening, it's supermoon night. So happy supermoon day as well. And this is the obviously only month with 2 full moons in it. And next month, and I say pinch and a punch in advance for tomorrow, in February there will be no full moon. Very unusual time. And all the supermoon experts say that this moon has particularly good energy, they say. So, according to the supermoon day, we should have a wonderful time together. So let's find out who we are, what we're doing here. I now know that virtually all of you are mind mappers. So I know that all of you have mind mapped. How many of you still mind map? Okay. How many of you have been to one of my sessions in London? How many of you have been to one of my sessions somewhere else in the world? So how many of you have never been with me in a lecture? Wonderful. Then this is not going to be a lecture. This is going to be a conversation to find out who you are. How many of you know what a mind map is? Okay. And then today we're going to do many things and make many connections with you. How many of you have read Synapsia? None? Then you are the first people in the universe to see this issue of Synapsia. It's 100 pages on the brain, learning, thinking. It's for the brain. It has full history of the World Memory Championships. How many of you have competed in memory or speed reading or creativity or IQ? Okay. How many of you are mental athletes? So we got 2 out of 150. There is humor in here. There are cartoons on the brain, on learning, on thinking. There are secret cartoonists, and you can try to work out who they are. There's royalty in here. There's poetry in here. How many of you are poets? Okay, so 2 poets. How many of you are not poets? Okay, there's a lot of good art. Lorraine Gill, the artist, who I'll tell you more about as well. But there is art in here, connecting with mind maps. How many of you are artists? 4. How many of you are not artists? Okay, so that's nearly all of you. How many of you are scientists? How many of you are not scientists? Right. Welcome to the future of the human race. How many of you have kids? Vast majority. How many of you are teachers? 3 or 4. How many of you are not teachers? What a team. Happy New Year. So today we're going to talk about thinking, because we have been trained how not to think. How not to think. How many of you love colors? So basically all of you. How many of you have decided that today you will take notes here? How many of you will take notes? Very good, very good. How many of you bought colors to help you take your notes? 4. How many of you have not taken colors to take notes? So who are you? Who are you? When you're mind mappers, you're not mind mappers. Because if you were a mind mapper, you would have colors. Do colors help memory? Team? Yes. Yes or no? Yes. Do colors energize your brain?
Yes.
Yes, they do. Do they encourage comprehension and understanding?
Yes. Properly.
Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So 140 of you are not using color, despite the fact that you know that you're going to mind map today with the dear old granddad of mind maps. So you're going to show the granddad, yeah, we love color, sure we do. We're mind mappers, but we ain't going to use color. So now let's think about that. This is a day to change your future. That's why we're here. I am here because my goal in life is to have every single child know what a brain is, what a mind is, what memory is, what learning is, what thinking is. And I want all of you to be a teacher. What more important profession in the world could there be than being a teacher? Name the planet, our planet, with no teachers. What would the place be like? Humans gone. There'd be no more humans. The teacher, most important profession. And all of you parents are not teachers. So you are publicly committing, I am a parent, but I haven't taught my child anything. I'm not a teacher. My child hasn't learnt. I'm not a teacher. Is that true?
No, it isn't.
Take two. How many of you, as a parent, are a teacher? Welcome. Welcome to the human race. When you are a parent and you think, I am not a teacher, everything connects in your brain with, I am not a teacher, 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 I am not teaching my children, I am not a teacher, and it robotizes you. Whereas if you think, I'm a teacher, I'm spending hours with my kids, and I'm teaching them, and I'm a student, and I'm learning from my kids, and every one of my children is a teacher, and is a fabulous teacher, teaches openly, willingly, delightfully. So let me repeat. How many of you are parents who are teachers? And say it with energy. Not, yeah, I'm a teacher. You don't have to agree. You can say, no, I'm not. But when you say yes, yes, your body tells you who you are. And if you say yeah, it means yeah. So, how many of you would like to do a mind map? Ta-da! So let's start today with a mind map. And I'm going to talk to you today about mastery of a mind map. Because today, for me, is a special day as well. Stella has mentioned that I've written 152 books. This is number 152. This is today. This is the launch of my book on the history and the development of a mind map. You know, how did a mind map actually evolve? And in the time we spend together, we'll do a kind of super overview of how did the mind map actually arrive, and what is it, and how you can apply it in many ways that you know you can. So, thank you for coming to my launch day on Mind Map Mastery. And as you walk out of here today, you will know the nature of Mind Map Mastery and thinking. So the mind map I'm going to ask you to do is on the most important subject you can imagine, and that is going to be who? What? You. You. I want a mind map of you. And I want you to imagine that you're going to be introduced to, say, 20,000 people. You're going to speak to 20,000 people, and somebody's going to introduce you with a mind map of you. So I want this to be as clear, as comprehensive, as creative. It's a reflection of your brain. And I will wander around and give you occasional pointer, so I'll guide you along to make sure that your mind map mastery is becoming more real. And when you say, I'm a mind mapper, you will know what you mean. All right, team, your masterpiece starts now. And it has supermoon influence on it.
But he doesn't have any paper. Give us a shout.
Sorry? No, I'd like you to do it by hand. Those of you who can do mind maps with software, for this exercise, use the number 1 tool on the planet, and it's called a hand. Use your hand and paper. You can transfer to the IT later, but for the time being, you're starting on your art career again. And if you don't think you can draw, draw anyway. You know, you're a 5-year-old kid back in kindergarten, do your first drawing. The instructions are, do a mind map on you.
Any hints for those of us that aren't mind map experts?
No hints at all. No hints at all. You're a mind mapper, so you know what a mind map is according to your definitions. So just do a mind map as you know a mind map to be. And if you do a messy, horrible mind map, is that okay?
Yeah.
Of course, because you can then do a better one. So this is your starting blocks with Granddad Tony saying you're on your marks, go. And within. Okay, I'd like you now to be working in pairs, 2, and give yourself 2 minutes to introduce yourself to your neighbor. Imagine they don't know you. So imagine they don't know you. And then exchange. So pairs. 2 minutes to introduce yourself with your mind map. If you want, this session is filmed. Obviously, my presentation is filmed. But if you would like to have your proto mind map in the record, the camera is over there. So show what you've done. Now I've walked around the tables and I've checked all of them, and you'll be delighted to know that in this room there is one mind map. There is one. All the others are not mind maps. And therefore, you are proto-mind maps, or mind mappers. That's before mind mapping. And your notes which I will not call mind maps yet, but your notes overall, right? Summary. Your imagery in your notes, far better than average. Many of you have worked on drawing, doodling, sketching, imaging, and they are overall good. Your network, right, the association, the radiant nature of a real note, nearly all of you have good network. Your lines, many of them straight. Straight lines in a note rigidify your brain. They make it boring, rigid. So the branches need to be organic. And I'm going to give you the guidelines for my map, just summarizing what you've done so far. The volume of your thinking, far above average. Most people doing their CV come up with about 8 ideas. You have many. So you are definitely prolific. You are creating more. Catastrophic area, disaster area, color. All these notes, with the exception of 3, no color. No color. And little Tony, when I was in school, I did not like school. I didn't like homework. How many of you loved doing extra homework? How many of you did not like doing extra homework? Ta-da! So it's all of us. And we are from different countries, different experience, different sex, different family. But it's the same. Didn't like homework. Why? I hated my notes. I had to use one color. In my school in Kent, near Canterbury, I had to use one color. And if I didn't use one color, that color, bang, I get 6 of the best. Detention, 100 lines. I will only use this color in my notes. I will only use this color in my notes. I will only use this color in 100 lines. Punishment. The only thing we liked in school, all of us, all the children at 7 years old, we liked 4 things every day. First thing we liked was ding, 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 ding. What was that? Playtime. Second thing we liked, ding, 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 ding. Lunchtime. Playtime. Third thing we liked, ding, 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 ding. Afternoon playtime. The fourth thing we liked and loved the most, and we were like little Olympic Usain Bolts, waiting for the ding, 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 and we were out of the blocks, out of school. How many of you experienced school like that? So it's global. And the reason why we don't like notes especially is it's one color. One color is a monochrome. A monochrome is one color. Monochroma, which is a monotone of color. And a monotone is a monotone. And a monotone is monotonous. And if something is monotonous, it is what? Boring. And all your brains knew it. And what does your brain do when you're bored? Switches off. Tunes out. switches off there, shuts down, and it works perfectly, doesn't it? Go into university libraries. What are half the people often doing in the library? Sleeping. Giant public bedrooms of planet Earth. One color. And it does it. So please think about it, because colors change your life. And if you make everything colorless, your brain becomes colorless. Your thinking becomes colorless. Everything becomes more and more colorless. And you become gray, monotonic. And that is why business, governments, education are in deep trouble, because they're not even allowed colors. Some children in school not allowed colors because it's not serious. So you've got to be serious and really boring. So, back to a mind map. I'm now going to show you a mind map. And I'm going to give you my curriculum vitae, a professional curriculum vitae, which will simply summarize my overview life. And I'm going to say nothing. I'm just going to show you. And if any of you want to come closer, please do, if you want to see it more closely. But work out, because what you are now seeing flowering in front of you is a real mind map. And it contains all the laws and rules of how to think highly intelligently. So team, already you begin to see what a real mind map is. And this is an update of some of the main branches of my overview life. And you can see how the brain thinks. This is how our brains think. And much of what you see in front of you is what Stella said at the beginning. And you are free to take a picture of that if you like. And the importance of this is not me. This is a mind map. So when you look at that, compare it with your CV, and look at yours and say, mine has this and this and this, mine doesn't have this and this and that. So you edit your own thinking. So you refine, what is a mind map? What does it always include? So I'd like you, in groups of, say, 3 or 4, work out the laws. Because in front of you is a mind map. And if this disappears, and I disappear, my books all disappear, my maps disappear, then you're the only person on the planet who knows what a real mind map is, which is a lot more powerful than any other note. Make sure you've got it. Okay, team, so I'll give you 3 minutes. In your teams, work out what is the difference between what I've done and what this is. Starting now. Rough draft. Your mind map does not have to be perfect. When you've done a mind map, and when I do a mind map, I will normally take it back home or take it to wherever I'm going to be, and I'll revise it, upgrade it. So just do this fast as you can and as well as you can. So, laws, color. Color. You can see throughout. So it's color everywhere, everywhere. And code it. You code your colors. And these are all important. These are not in order of importance. Next, branches. Curvilinear, curved, curved. And you can note that your thinking is natural, natural. So curvilinear, everything is curved, including everything in the universe. According to Albert Einstein, there are no straight lines. Make it curvilinear. Gives it more flexibility, more creative. Next one. Image, images, pictures, codes. So imagery, imagination. And now imagine notes without color, without images, straight lines. Dull, rigid, boring, a prison. What you've got so far gives you freedom. Freedom is a big key word. Freedom of thinking. Another important law, one word per branch. It's one word or one image per branch. It makes thinking clear. It emphasizes the important key words. So your mind map is filled only with key words. Even Tony Buzan is not on one branch. Buzan, one branch. Tony, another branch. Because then Buzan is free. If it's Tony Buzan, Buzan's stuck. If Buzan Tony, then it can be Buzan mum, Buzan dad, Buzan history, Buzan brother, Buzan nationality. And go on and on, so it gives you freedom, one word per branch. Another one, same length. So the word and the image, same length as the line. Because now you see big keyword underlying all of this. And that keyword is association. Association. Because in your thinking, connection, association, defines the structure of it. Your memory is based on association and imagery. Your creativity, imagination, connections, association. So the mind map has branches that connect. And therefore the association is radiant. It radiates. So those are your basic laws. And you can add to that beauty. Beauty. The human brain loves beauty. That's why everybody likes to be beautiful. They love beautiful things. They want to buy beautiful things. And therefore, art is part of it. Imagery, color, art, all there. Which is why when you do mind maps, you will love to do them better and better. As long as you give yourself the freedom to make a mistake, to do a draft. All great artists drew and sketched, did it again and again. How many of you are artists? How many of you are not artists? If you've still got your hand up, you get a detention. You got a hand. You can draw. When you've done a stick person, it's art. You're just at the beginning. How many of you are teachers? Good. How many of you are artists? And when you walk around thinking that, your brain will naturally do it. Will naturally do it. So I'm now going to show you something else. What do you think my first language is? My first language? English. And tell me your first language? So we got a number of different spoken languages, and I'm saying no, and no, 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 no. So I'm going to ask you to explore. How many of you daydream? Yes. In school, that's considered good or bad? Bad. So we know we've had a bad group for nearly an hour together. Daydreaming necessary. So I'm going to ask you to daydream. I'm going to give you a piece of data, and as soon as I give it to you, close your eyes and just play with it and check how long did it take me to access it and what did the computer give me. Are you ready? Piece of data I want you to access is monkey. Close your eyes. Check, check, check. How long did it take? What did the computer give me? Play with it. Open your eyes. Tell your friends immediately, how long did it take? What did you get? Okay, team. All right, team. All right, team, how long did it take your brain to access it? How long? And isn't that fascinating? Same words, immediate, just like that, very quick, nanosecond, microsecond, all the same. Impossible? Because no scientist knows how you do that. It's an infinite database, and you accessed it just like that. Did you get a nice printout saying M-O-N-K-E-Y? What did you get? How many got an image and a picture with colors? Keep your hands up. Look around. Look around. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the real human race. This is what your brain did. Radiant, instantaneous. Image, picture, color, wham, associations. That is the human language, not English, not Mandarin, not Zulu. Those are all subroutine. That is the prime language. And if you're going to take a note using the human language, what kind of note must you make? What kind of note must you make?
Image. Visual.
You've got to use image, you've got to use association,
Colour.
you've got to use color. So what are you going to call the note? You got it. That is the human language. And now you can talk to anybody using the same language, which is why the mind map is such a communication tool. And thus, that is a mind map. That's how you do one. This is how a mind map works. That's the architecture of thinking. So that's how you can do any mind map on any subject, any application. And your brain, how many of you know the left and right brain? How many of you don't know the left and right brain? You either do or you don't. How many of you know the left and right side skills of the brain? How many of you are not sure? Good. Much better to be unsure. So I'm giving you these. That is the left side. The right side, daydreaming. These are skills. Daydreaming, a skill, imagination, a skill that you use to develop them. So what side of the brain is business? What side of the brain is art? Right. What side of the brain is music? What side of the brain is academic? What side of the brain is creativity? I did say, think. And I'm saying, no, 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 and seriously, deathly no. Take two. Have a look again. Quick chat with your neighbor. This is your last conversation with your neighbor in this seminar. What side are the ones I've just asked? Quick conversation.
Well, it must be both. I think that's the all of your brain.
Seven. Perfect timing. All right, team. Okay, team. So this is now take two. On what side of the brain, and this is an experiment with a significant statistical human result. I am predicting it. And my prediction is that independently, maybe 25 different teams within a couple of minutes have changed their mind and come to the same conclusion as other teams. So, on what side of the brain is academia? Both. What side of the brain is music? Both. What side of the brain is business? Both. What side of the brain is art? Both. And what side of the brain is creativity? Both. Now, isn't that amazing? All of you came to the same conclusion because you thought, and you thought intelligently. You had enough grist for your mill to come to the natural conclusion. So the conclusion for the future of the world, there's no debate. It's not a debate. It's not going to be an argument. You know, does this party think this or this party think that? It's blazingly obvious when the brain knows what is so. The brain is a sublime thinker when it knows how to think. And once it knows how to think, the horizons are much more rainbow-like. So, you were right. And not only were you right, but you are significantly right. Because here is why you were right. The brain. You've just discovered the human brain is synergetic. 1 + 1 in mathematics, in standard maths, 1 + 1 equals what? 2. But in a synergetic mathematical system, 1 + 1 equals what? More than 2. 2 or more. So 1 + 1 can equal 11. 1 + 1 can equal 3,525,632. Multiplicative. The brain multiplies. And the two sides of your cortex communicate. We've stopped them. You know, art is there, business is there, this is logic, that's creativity, and they're totally integrated, as you will see. So that's the key word, synergetic. And that's how the brain does it. That's how your brain thinks. So when you put rhythm to words, you're then a poet. You're a communicator. Because if I am academic, then I will speak to you just like this to make sure that you get all the words I want in your head so you can regurgitate what I said. Now, for some extraordinary reason, you all look bored. And this was me saying something profoundly important. So when you link your two sides, the brain goes infinitely creative. Infinitely. And so in my map, what side is a mind map? Both. So when you do mind maps, you are actually encouraging your total gymnasium of your human brain. Just doodling a mind map. It exercises everything and multiplies everything. So now when you've got kids and you're a teacher, how are you going to teach them? Teach them to be the flowers of intelligence. Because mind maps are flowers, aren't they? They're like flowers of intelligence. And in paradise, what is always in paradise? Paradise is a garden, isn't it? It's actually the meaning of it. Garden of paradise. And what is always in beautiful gardens? Flowers. So when you do good mind maps, you are populating the universe-sized garden with the flowers of intelligence. So it's not just a note-taking method. You're a gardener creating paradise and using all the skills that you actually have. So your last question. How many of you are obviously interested in neuroscience? Ta-da. How many of you know the name of the father, even the grandfather of neuroscience? How many know who that is? How many don't know? So isn't it phenomenal? Here we are, the brain cell, and we don't even know the grandfather. And just to let you know, I did not know that until even recently. You know, I'd learned all the modern psychology, but I didn't discover who the grandfather of neuroscience is. And this is going to go zap, because it did to me. And this is the first time I'm telling you this story. Roger Sperry got the Nobel Prize for this research. That is not Roger Sperry. Anybody have any idea what that is? That, my dear friends, is revolutionarily awareness making, because those are hand-drawn notes by a scientist more than 100 years ago, like 1896. 1896. And that man got a Nobel Prize, majorly because of what he's just done. And nobody knows about it. But now it needs to be spread around the world, because the loop is totally made. Because this boy, this young boy, had a father who was a doctor, scientist. And the father persuaded the boy, you must become a scientist, a doctor. And the boy was a rebel. How many of you ever got into trouble with mums and dads or authority? Good sign. So this kid got in trouble with his dad because all he wanted to do was draw. All he wanted to do. And he drew wherever he was, he would draw. And he was told, that's a waste of time, become a scientist. So he became a scientist. But he became totally fascinated with what he could see. and the microscopes were just beginning to show the beginning knowledge of the brain cell. And he started to copy and copy and copy and called crazy. It turns out that he got the Nobel Prize because he discovered what the brain cell structures are like. First time ever revealed to the human race. That on the left is the cells in the brain and how they are. And that is one neuron. A microscope slide. All the media has finally discovered that this man had two things only that got him the prize. One was a microscope. He invested his time to try and find the more and more powerful, so he could see more, see clearly. That was one of his skills. The other one was the God-given human gift of the ability to draw. To draw. So the vision, microscope, and drawing, art, has made the human race aware of what is actually in our heads. How many of you are artists? Join 100 years ago and more, Santiago Cajal, a Spanish rebellion artist kid who has changed the planet for what's inside our brain. So welcome to the deep universe of what we are in and who we are. And now you know more of what a mind map actually is. A mind map reflects all of this. All Cajal's drawings show roots, branches, trees, connection, flow, rhythm, nature. So welcome to 2018. Welcome to the new age of awareness of the brain. Happy supermoon. You now know a lot more about what goes on in this star. Thank you.
Thank you very much for Tony for such an interesting session, and it was lovely to have a go at playing with mind maps. Thank you all for joining in and participating. Tony is going to be out having drinks and we're hoping some nibbles. So if you want to come and chat to him, please come out here rather than wait in here to talk to him. So he will be out there. The organisers want to say they're very sorry about the problems, Thames Water's problems today with the water. We're hoping that we'll be back to normal tonight. I'm really hoping because I'm staying with my daughter and she's got the same problem. Have a great evening and we will see you all tomorrow. And thank you again to Tony.
Write an article for Synaptia. Thank you.